spot, bringing stats like a kingpin. MMA knowledge meets his nephews all leaning, breaking down fights, codes that daddy supreme on. Just a tip show, he's cooking up a dream. Uncle Weezy, he the man, dropping fight facts, got it all on hand. He the stat attack grand, MMA guru, more than just a fan. Wanna know the numbers? Weezy got them cataloged, from the fighters reach down to how many times they dog. Just a tip living, breaking it down slick, hit you with the knowledge, won't miss a single trick. Uncle Weezy, he the man, dropping fight facts, got it all on hand. He the stat attack grand, MMA guru, more than just a fan. Balls deep predictions, he be making those calls, getting in the details, opponents feeling small. From jazz to takedowns, got the whole fight ID. Uncle Weezy spitting truth, no lie, keep it G. Blow the horn, blow the horn. Stat Daddy Weezy not showing no scorn. Fight night kingdom, he wearing the crown. Break it down for the peeps, never looking like a clown.
Oh, yes. What's going on, everybody? It's Thursday night. We got UFC Mexico City coming up this Saturday, headlined by Brandon Moreno and Lonnie Kavanagh. 5-round fight in the men's flyweight division. Kavanagh stepping up on about 3 weeks' notice to take a fight at 7,000 elevation feet here in Mexico City against one of Mexico's favorite sons, Brandon Moreno, former champion of the flyweight division. So we got 13 fights to talk about on this card. I'm going to give you guys a quick full card breakdown. We're going to go give you guys my dog pick of the week, Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week, and I'm going to give you guys a Greasy 4-leg parlay. Normally I give you one that's got some meat on the bone. This one's like an entire turkey leg. We're going hard in the paint this week. We're going for a plus 1,400 when it comes to our Greasy 4-leg parlay this week. 4 spots that I absolutely love. So I'm looking forward to getting into it with you guys. A big hearty oi to everybody that's watching out there. If you want to support me, there is a link in the description of the video to my Odds Shopper probability stats and content package. All the stats that you're going to see on today's show on the spreadsheets is available there. The over-under betting models, the prop betting models, the fight write-ups, access to the Discord, access to all the tracked bets, and access to the full card breakdown show I do every week called Balls Deep Breakdowns with Uncle Weezy. Here on Just the Tip, we give you just the tip. We just give you a little bit. If you want to see me go balls deep on these fights, figuratively, that's when you want to join the Odds Shopper, and that's when you want to click the link in the description of this video. 50% off your first month there, and you're going to get access to the treasure trove of information that I have available for UFC bettors every single week, in addition to my the content that you don't get to see for free here on YouTube. So if you want to support the work that I do here, that's the best way to do it. But even if you don't, hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, leave me a comment down below, and let me know what you're thinking for this week's bets, for this week's fights. Who do you got in the main event? And let's just get right into it, you guys. First fight of the night that we're going to be talking about is Damian Pinas going up against Wes Party Time Schultz. We got Pinas at a minus 245 underdog. Schultz is a plus 245 favorite. And we got the fight doesn't go to decision here, which is juiced to the absolute tits at minus 600 for this fight. So if you look at that number on the over-under template, you can always see what the implied probability of that bet is. Minus 600 comes out to 85.7%. So the market's saying that almost 86 times out of 100, this fight is going to finish and finish violently. Let me get my picks up here for you guys. And for this fight, I do have Damian Pinas winning by second-round knockout, but the bet for me is Wes Schultz, because this is a striker versus grappler matchup. And this guy, DP, has got absolutely nasty power in his hands. And all he needs to do is touch you once, and that can be the end of the fight. He's fast for a middleweight. He's tall and long and athletic, and he's got ridiculous power. And His grappling game is still kind of a work in progress because he's new to mixed martial arts. He's only been fighting professionally for about 3.5 years. So he is right now at this point in his career just a power puncher. Now, Wes Schultz is a guy who's got some pretty awkward, funky striking, but he's got good kicks. And you have to worry about the entries on the takedowns when you're fighting this guy at range. So Wes is a tricky fighter to go up against, and he's got a really good blend of freestyle wrestling and Brazilian jiu-jitsu that can help him at this level win minutes and moments on the mat. So I think that these guys are I think Wes is gonna find those takedowns early. And depending on how good of positions he can get to, I think we can potentially see him finish with a submission. But at altitude, he's going to kind of have to be very careful about how much time he spends at distance striking range with this Pinas, because if this guy hits you, it's going to be nighty-night. Keep your butthole tight. And you don't want what he's going to be putting in your butthole while you're sleeping. So I really worry about Schultz being able to get this fight down to the ground and have success there. But if he does, I think he's going to be very live to finish the fight. And I think Pinas is going to be very live to finish the fight if he lands big shots on the feet. So that's why the under 1.5 rounds is sitting at about -180 here. The official pick, because Pinas is such a hard hitter, is him to win by knockout in the second round. But I would rather play the Wes Schultz money line at +210 and Wes Schultz by submission at +450 than lay -250 almost on the Pinas money line, or like a -140 on his KO prop. Let's move on to the next fight. Eric Silva versus Francis Marshall. You see that this line is juiced to the tits as well. Marshall -725, Silva +525. Fight doesn't go here, -325 for this fight. So, I mean, I'm not exactly sure how Francis is going to get this done, but what I am pretty sure about is that he's going to beat Eric Silva. Eric Silva, 39-year-old featherweight, and he has not fought in 2 years. And I think he's got about one fight in the last 3 years. So Silva is a guy who kind of beat a can on Dana White's Contender Series and was awarded a contract for that. But his resume coming into Dana White's Contender Series was extremely fraudulent. He had fought some really low-level competition, and because he had a 100% finish rate, I guess that's why they gave him the shot. But this is a guy who's been battling injuries. He's already old for the division. He doesn't have a lot of pro experience, and anytime he's stepped up against anybody with a pulse, he's lost and been finished. So I think this is Francis however he wants it, but Francis is on a 1-year-long layoff as well. He's going to have to manage his gas tank at 7,000 feet elevation. So even though I do think Francis is going to finish him inside the distance, I think that there's some value on Francis Marshall by decision this week, sitting north of +300. But I do think that Marshall is going to knock this guy out. You know, I think if you want to attack the weakness in Silva's game, first of all, you just get in the cage with him, because like he's not a UFC level fighter from what I've seen on tape and from what I've seen from just the trends with him being 39 years of age, with his little experience as he has, battling injuries and inactivity. So, yeah, I think it's going to be Marshall, and I think if he wants to attack that weakness, he just keeps the fight standing, because Silva is a little bit tricky with his grappling. So Marshall keeps it standing, knocks this guy out in the second round, gets a pretty easy win, and hopefully he can get a little more active, because it has been 1 year between fights for him. Next fight, I don't really have anything here, you guys. I haven't had a chance to watch Regina Taran yet. But the one thing I can say is, and I don't know anything about her other than just like the brief clips that I've seen. However, this is a short notice fight at 7,000 feet elevation. So if Regina's not already training at elevation, if she's not ready to fight a full 15 minutes at 7,000 feet, fighting somebody like Kareckaite, who's known for output and cardio, even somebody like Kareckaite, who doesn't really have much finish upside at all at this level, could find a finish if Regina Taran gets tired in there. And remember, she's taking this fight on like 3 days' notice, 7,000 feet elevation. You're going to have potential nerves. You're going to have a potential adrenaline dump in front of your home crowd there in Mexico. So depending on what elevation Regina Taran trains at, I think that's going to be a big deal as to how much of a chance she's going to have to beat somebody like Kareckaite, because Kareckaite at her best is a volume striker. She doesn't really bring a lot of offensive grappling threat. She doesn't really bring a big power threat. She's gonna stay very busy. She's gonna be durable in there, and she's gonna be able to push a pace for the full 15 minutes. But even when she's fighting at her best, she's still just barely winning or going to split decisions. So I think Regina's got some upside. She's still only 21 years old, but I haven't really looked into her yet, so I don't really have an official prediction on this fight. The next one, Douglas Silva de Andrade versus Javier Reyes. Reyes minus 215, DSDA plus 185. Fight doesn't go, sitting here at minus 155 for this fight. I like the overs here. I don't think that Andrade is going to have a bunch of finish upside at this level, and Reyes is a guy who's got pretty good cardio, pretty good durability, and a lot of experience. You know, the guy had a long amateur career, and he's got like 27 professional fights. I don't think he's going to be particularly explosive or way above average in any of the areas of MMA compared to his peers in this division, but he looks like he's going to be all right. Douglas Silva de Andrade, though, on the other hand, is over 40 years old. He's 40 years and 8 months old. So I don't really like much of his chances here. He's been very inactive as of late. He's been fighting only once a year, but last year he was not medically cleared to fight for his matchup against John Castaneda at 135 pounds. Now he's moving up to 145, and he's getting a guy in Reyes who's a lot younger, who's on a completely different career trajectory. And this is the biggest fight in Reyes' life. It's his UFC debut. While Douglas Silva de Andrade, it's like about a year and 8 months between fights for him now at 40 years old, going on 41 in a couple of months. So I don't like this spot for Andrade, but I don't see a big skill gap between these guys. DSDA, obviously, big UFC experience and strength to schedule advantages, and he's got big power on the feet, but he's not the most reliable minute winner against anybody. It's just not his style. So I think Reyes, who can mix in some wrestling, who's got very good conditioning, and is in a much different place in his career, just a lot hungrier. I think he's going to win this fight and win it by decision, like the overs in this fight, like Reyes decision, like fight goes. The next one, Christian Quinonez, after a 2-year layoff and a 2-fight losing streak, is minus 700 here. And the reason he's minus 700 on a 2-fight losing streak and a 2-year layoff is because he's fighting one Chris Moutinho, the Mountain Dew colored hair punching bag out of the Northeast regional scene. This guy Moutinho is terrible. He stinks. So it's got to be Quinonez round 1 KO, but I won't be getting there with you guys. Minus 700. It's a little much. I think this fight finishes inside the distance at a really high clip. However, Quinonez on a 2-year layoff is kind of a mystery here. But what isn't a mystery is Chris Moutinho. This guy, he is who we thought he was, right? He is a punching bag who walks forward, who doesn't really offer a lot of offensive grappling upside, doesn't really have a lot of power in his strikes, and lacks skill. So Quinonez should beat this guy, but and Quinonez is only 29 years old. So even though he's had 2 years off, he's still in his athletic prime right now and could still be in a place where he could be making improvements, even though he's been away from the cage for so long. But the reality is that he's been battling injuries, I'm sure. That's probably why he hasn't been here for 2 years. And, just because he's fighting a punching bag, it doesn't mean he's going to absolutely go out there and kill this guy. But Moutinho has been finished in all 7 of his professional losses, you guys. So I'm really worried about this dude's chin. I'm really worried about this guy's ability to be able to take a shot at this level. And Quinonez is a guy who's got pretty sharp boxing, a little bit of pop in his punches, and he can get you out of there with a submission as well. So I like the under 1.5 rounds here. I like the fight doesn't go to decision. I think this fight's going to end violently, and I don't really see a lot of people thinking that this one's going to go to decision. The next one, Aileen Perez going up against Macy Chiasson. We got Aileen around minus 180, Macy around plus 150 Fight doesn't go to decision here, sitting at plus 225. I'm going with Macy here. I think she's the better minute and moment winner at distance striking range. I think she's the more physical fighter here that's more capable of doing damage in the clinch and controlling the dirty boxing positions. And I think both of these ladies are powerful wrestlers. So while I think, Aylin has got really good wrestling, she doesn't have the best ability to be able to hold people down. And I believe that if Macy were to get into top position, she would do more damage than Aylin would do from top position in this fight. So I kind of feel like this is the wrong line here. Macy was minus 155 against Ketlin Vieira, who's a much better fighter than Aylin Perez. Chiasson was minus 210 last time out against Yana Santos. And she lost a lot of minutes in the clinch to Santos, who's elite in the clinch. And that was a little bit of a fight IQ error there by Macy. But I think that Macy is better than Aylin in a lot of areas of MMA. And what we do know, too, is she's got a big strength of schedule advantage. One of the things that I'm doing in my fight write-ups now is not only am I providing all of the return on investment data here, you can get the return on investment overall as a favorite and as an underdog. And, Aylin Perez has been phenomenal. She's got a 48% return on investment over her 6 UFC fights, and she's performed well, priced as an underdog and as a favorite. But Macy has done her best work when she's been priced as an underdog, 2-2 with a 19% ROI. But the strength of schedule here, I've been ranking all the fighters in the division and their strength of schedule based on a formula that I created that just kind of determines how many fights they've had, what the winning percentage of the people that they've fought is, and how experienced on average those people are at the UFC level. And you kind of take all three of those things into account and then do it the same thing for the wins of that fighter and the losses of that fighter. And you create a metric, you convert everything to a Z-score, and then you can get a nice, modelable distribution where you can rank these fighters. And I've got Chiasson ranked 8th out of 31 and Perez ranked 23rd out of 31. So just know that while Chiasson is going from being minus 200, minus 150 in her last 2 fights against higher level competition, she's now being priced as a plus 155 underdog against somebody that's, in the bottom third of the division when it comes to strength of schedule. So I like Macy here. I think the money line is a great bet this week. I got a 1-unit bet on Macy's money line, and going with her at plus 155 to win this fight by decision. But I also think that there's a little bit of value when the fight doesn't go to decision here. Macy's been finished on a couple of different occasions, and Aylin's been finished in her only loss, and I think this is going to be her toughest opponent out of all 6 that she's seen by far. So I do like this spot for Macy. The next fight, oh boy, Ryan Gandra is a minus 725 favorite against Jose Medina, the real JDM, my guy, and he's plus 525. The fight doesn't go to decision here, sitting at minus 350 for this fight. I'm picking Ryan Gandra to win this fight. I'm going to pick him to win by decision and trust Jose Medina's durability. I don't think this guy Gandra is any good at all. I really don't. I don't think he's going to have any upside really at this level. I think he's going to lose pretty much all of his fights unless he were to fight, say, Jose Daniel Medina, and then in which case I think he could probably get a win. And, oh, well, look at that. He's got Chicho Medina. So I do think Gandra will get the win here, but minus 725, you guys, it's bonkers. It's bonkers for a guy with this guy's skill set. Not on a very good team. Very low level of competition on the regional scene. And, some really bad performances early in his career against some lower level guys. And those fights were just like 3-4 years ago. So while this guy looks to be making improvements and getting into better shape, he just kind of like wings wild, wide punches. He throws 100% power into everything that he offers. And his conditioning hasn't shown to be very good. So, I do think that this guy is potentially going to slow down later in fights at the UFC level. And I don't know how he's going to really deal with anybody that's got any kind of grappling ability. Gandra does have a judo background. I believe he's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu brown belt. I've heard that. But when I've seen this guy grapple, in the cage, I don't see somebody that's a UFC level grappler. So it's going to be interesting. Like this guy probably should win this fight, but if he doesn't, it's going to be fucking hilarious. And I actually put a 1-unit bet, not because I wanted to. Not because I wanted to, all right? Stat Diggers, I'm doing it with Brady on Monday night. We got a bunch of watchers, but not nearly as many as usual because it's a lousy card, right? And we say if you guys give us 150 likes, and we usually struggle to get to 100. I said if we get to 150 likes, I'll put a 1-unit bet on Jose Medina. Said it as a joke. And then we got as many likes as we've ever gotten on any stream. We set a like record for Stat Diggers for one of the worst cards of all time, UFC Mexico City, because it has this fight on it, Ryan Gandra versus Jose Medina. So I actually said that I would bet it and track it, which I did. And I am not encouraging you guys to do the same. That's why I went full screen here. I have a bet. Please don't tail me. But please don't bet on Gandra either. Don't. Because if this fight gets out of the first round, Medina, who lives at like 10,000 feet elevation and who has very good cardio, is all of a sudden going to become live against this bum. Mark my words. But I'm picking Gandra by decision because if you can't beat Jose Medina, you didn't belong here in the first place. So, yeah, that's what we're going to go with. We're going to go with Gandra by decision. I gave it out as a free bet. I did everything that I said I would, if we got 150 likes. And remind me never to care about likes again. Don't think that I'm betting on Moutinho if you guys get me 100 likes by the time we're out of here. Not that we're going to get anything close to that, but Gandra by decision is the pick. Please don't bet on him. Please don't bet on Medina. If there's bets that I think actually have some value here, probably the overs. Just because I don't think Gandra is going to be finishing people at this level because I don't think he's any good. And Medina's not finishing anybody, so I think that this one might be a really sloppy fight that goes over 1.5 rounds and potentially even sees the scorecards. Next fight, Santiago Luna versus Angel Pacheco. Another line that's juiced to the tits here. Santiago Luna minus 625. Angel Pacheco plus 450. Fight doesn't go to decision here, sitting at minus 325. I'm going with Luna. I'm going Luna by sub. I think that this guy's still got a lot of work to do. He's still only 21 years old. Against Quang Lee in his UFC debut, he showed that his striking defense is not UFC level yet. So there's going to come a time where Luna won't be able to get takedowns. He's going to get stuck on the feet against a much better striker, and he's going to be eating a ton of damage. And there's going to come a point where he's not going to be able to rely on his chin anymore, but he's very young. He's very hungry, and his chin is holding up as of right now. But yeah, minus 625 on a 21-year-old with one fight. It's not something you want to run to the window to back, but at the same time, this guy Angel Pacheco is on a long layoff. He's extremely hittable in his own right, and I think that there's a big power differential between Luna and Pacheco, and there's also a pretty big wrestling differential in between Luna and Pacheco. So I do think that Luna, he can win moments on the feet. I don't think he's going to be a great minute winner necessarily at the UFC level, but this guy hits really hard for the featherweight division. So I think he's going to be getting some finishes. I think he's going to look good at this level because he's got more than one path to victory, but he's still very young and he's rounding out his skill set. Pacheco, how long is the layoff? Let me look at that for you guys here. So the layoff for Pacheco is going on 2 years, and he's coming off of a loss against Keelan Loughran, and he got his UFC contract coming off a loss against Danny Silva. And even in the fight before that against this guy Vilson, the Albanian dude, he got almost finished in the first round of that fight. So I don't think that Pacheco is UFC level, but you know what I do know about Pacheco is that the dude is durable. He's never been finished in 10 professional fights. He's 0-3 to the decision, so he's not a gifted minute winner. But what we see Santiago Luna's money line at minus 625. And if you look at that here, that's an 86% implied probability at that number. However, you can get Santiago Luna by decision, right? And he's the much better minute winner in this fight. That's plus 325. And Pacheco's never been finished, and he proved in the Danny Silva fight. He proved in the Keelan Loughran fight. This guy's very durable. So I could see a world where Pacheco survives the full 15 minutes, that Luna can't quite put the pace that we would expect him to put on normally because this fight is at 7,000 feet elevation, and that Santiago Luna's minus 625 money line, or an 86% implied probability, gets turned into a 23% implied probability and a plus 350 if you just choose to back the massive favorite, but back him to win by decision and just pray that Angel Pacheco's durability holds up. So that's what I'm looking at here is Luna to win, but I do think that Luna's decision prop at plus 325 actually holds quite a bit of value. The market does tend to agree that the sub prop is how he's going to get it done, because it's overpriced according to all the metrics, according to my model there. But also at the same time, I think it can be any of the three ways. I think it can get a knockout, a submission, a decision. But the one prop that I did see having the most value there is the decision prop. All right, next fight. Imanol Rodriguez is minus 450. Kevin Borhas plus 350. Fight doesn't go to decision here, minus 200. So I like Imanol to win this one inside the distance. I like this kid a lot, man. He looks like a really good prospect. Fighting at home in Mexico, making his UFC debut against a guy in Borhas who's kind of a one-dimensional striker. He will use his wrestling in reverse to keep fights standing and look to win minutes and moments on the feet. But the problem is that I think he can win maybe minutes against Rodriguez, but moments is going to be hard because Imanol Rodriguez hits very, very hard for a UFC flyweight. Not a lot of power in this division, but this kid has legit power, and the grappling game seems to be improving as well. He was finding some winning grappling positions against a stud like Joseph Morales in the Tough House. So I think that Rodriguez could find multiple paths to victory here. This is another one, because it's a flyweight fight, and because the market expects this flyweight fight to finish at a very high rate. It's about 76.5%. That's 31% more than the divisional average, which goes to show you that there's going to be a ton of value once again on an Imanol Rodriguez decision prop at plus 235 compared to his money line at minus 450. But from what we're seeing on tape, this guy has got nighty-night, keep your butthole tight power in his hands. So I feel like that's what's going to happen here. I parlayed up Imanol Rodriguez to win inside the distance this week because even though my model hates it and says that it's significantly overpriced, I think we're going to see Imanol Rodriguez get a lot of finishes in this division, especially against somebody like Borhas, who is fairly hittable, as we've seen in a couple of different fights. Like for the Sumaderji fight, the defense didn't look great. Obviously, the Josh Van fight, it didn't look great. And I think Rodriguez is kind of like Josh Van with a little bit less volume, but a lot more power. And I think that this Rodriguez is going to be a problem in this division. And I'm expecting him not just to win this fight, but to win it violently. So I'm going with Imanol Rodriguez inside the distance as the prediction here. And the official prediction is a second round KO here. Second round KO. Next fight, Edgar Chairez going up against Felipe Bunes. Chairez minus 355. Bunes plus 290. Fight doesn't go to decision here at minus 205 for this fight. I like violence here. I think somebody's going to get served, and I think it's going to happen fairly early. I got Chairez by knockout in round number 2, but I think Felipe Bunes has got big-time early submission upside here. Edgar Chairez has terrible takedown defense here, as you can see in my stats package. Edgar Chairez allows 2.7 takedowns per 15 minutes on only 3.5 attempts, which means that he's only at 22.2% takedown defense. He only wins 7.7% of the control time positions in his fights, and he gets out-controlled by his opponents 42% to 3.5%. So even though Felipe Bunes is not the best wrestler, you don't have to be the best wrestler to get Chairez down. And once Bunes gets you down, he's definitely more of a submission over position grappler. And frankly, since Felipe really doesn't have the gas tank to push a grappling heavy pace for the full 3 rounds, if I'm in Felipe Bunes' corner and I'm coaching him, I'm telling him, man, you're just selling out early for the sub because you're not going to beat a Mexican in Mexico at 7,000 feet elevation when your biggest weakness has always been your cardio. So, and especially because I think that Chairez is going to be the much better striker here. He's just very dangerous on the feet. Both these guys are tall and long for the division, and certainly Felipe Bunes is no punk on the feet at all. The guy's a good fighter, but I really do think that somebody's going to end this fight early. Either Chairez is going to catch Bunes with something big, or Bunes is going to wind up getting a takedown, advancing to a dominant position, and just selling out for the submission like he did against Jose Johnson when he went for that arm bar. And Chairez has a similar build, that those long neural-ass arms, kind of easy to arm bars. So, yeah, I could see Chairez getting a sub. I could see Chairez getting a KO. I could see Felipe Bunes getting a first-round sub or a very early second-round sub. So I like violence here, but the pick for this fight is going to be Edgar Chairez to win by KO in round number 2. Favorite bet for this fight, definitely the under 1.5 rounds. It's big time plus money, and I think that it's got a really good shot of hitting. Let's move on to the next fight, which is going to be Daniel Zellhuber versus King Green. Zellhuber minus 500, King Green plus 375. Fight doesn't go, sitting at minus 130. This line is hilarious, dude. I mean, like, this guy Zellhuber has been so disappointing if you've bet on him, because you have to lay like minus 3, 4, 500 to watch this guy go out there and win split decisions and lose close decisions like he did against Ribovics. He lost a close decision against Trey Ogden. He lost a decision against Michael Johnson. And he's beating guys like Christos Yagos, and it's not a high level of competition that this guy is fighting. So, you know, with this fight, King Green is without question the value side at plus 375. When you look at the stats here, and first thing I want to draw your attention to is my strength of schedule rankings in the fight write-ups here, which you get when you sign up to the probability stats and content package here. First of all, you see Zellhuber with a negative 25% return on investment because he only has a 500 record, despite the fact that his average betting line, you guys, minus 278. So negative 25% ROI, and he's been priced as a favorite in all 6 of his fights. So this is a guy where the ROI stats clearly state that this guy has been way overvalued by the market. So King Green doing much better with his return on investment numbers over a 28 fight sample size at the UFC level. He's got double-digit return on investment and 17%, and he's performed fairly well with the 10% ROI when he's been priced as an underdog. But also, it's the distance striking statistics here, which are very telling. Now, obviously, Zellhuber being 3 inches taller, having a 6-inch reach advantage, and having the better long-range weapons, he should be able to win the minutes here at distance striking range. And I do think, King Green is not a guy that's considered to be one of the more durable guys in the division. So even though Zellhuber really can't bust a grape, this guy maybe could find a finish against King Green. But here's the thing. We've got a sample size of 80 or 79 minutes at distance striking range for Daniel Zellhuber. We got a sample size of 234 minutes for King Green at distance striking range. Green with a positive 2.6 distance striking differential. Zellhuber negative 0.7. And keep in mind, these guys are fighting a completely different level of competition. King Green has been fighting top 20 guys for the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years of his career consistently, while Daniel Zellhuber, the average record of the guys that he's fighting have the combined, 34 wins and 39 losses. And the guys that he's beating, the 3 guys that he's won, have combined UFC records of 11 wins and 19 losses. So not only is Daniel Zellhuber 14% less accurate, 6% less defensively responsible. He's got, the difference in differential is 3.3 significant strikes per minute because Zellhuber's is negative and Green's is positive. Green lands more. He absorbs less, and he's done all of this against a much better level of competition. But the problem is that King Green is 39 years old and Daniel Zellhuber is 26. So whenever you have these big age differences between two fighters, you're going to see the younger fighter be priced very expensive because they win at a very high clip. So I'm picking Daniel Zellhuber to win this fight by decision. I'm gonna fade this guy's so-called power, which I don't really see. And my favorite bets are Zellhuber to win by decision at plus 170. And then the bet that I've already tracked is King Green plus 3.5 points handicap at plus 225 on Bet Online. All he has to do is go to decision here and win one of the 3 rounds against a guy in Zellhuber who hasn't really proven himself to be a very good minute winner at distance striking range at the UFC level. And he's also proven that he has absolutely zero wrestling upside either. He's completed 0 takedowns in 6 UFC fights. So King Green's a guy who's still fast. He's still elusive. And but he fights with his hands down, so he can definitely get caught by Zellhuber. This might be where we see Zellhuber actually start to show some power. He's 26 years old, so he can start to show improvements here. But from what I've seen on tape so far, I'm not as concerned about the differences in career trajectory and age as I am in the differences in skill in the octagon between these two guys. So yeah, I think Green is at plus 375 is good. I think his plus 3.5 points handicap is good. And if you want to back Zellhuber, the favorite, play his decision prop at plus 170. Next fight, Marlon Vera versus David Martinez. Martinez is minus 310, so he's over a 75% implied probability to win. Marlon Vera plus 260. Fight doesn't go to decision here at plus 275. So I'm going with David Martinez to win by a close decision here. I think this fight's going to play out really close. Both of these guys are very skilled on the feet. Marlon Vera's faced a much better brand of competition. He's a lot more experienced. And I think that he's the more durable guy for sure. And he's probably got more power. Marlon Vera over a very large timeline at the UFC level has landed a total of 13 UFC knockdowns and only absorbed 1. So while Martinez is very efficient, landing his strikes at a 42% clip, only absorbing 3.2 distance strikes per minute and showing a 69% distance striking defense, he's got a very frustrating and difficult style to deal with. But Marlon Vera at plus 260 is bananas, you guys. This guy has never been that big of a favorite or a big of an underdog over 25 UFC fights. This guy's fought for the belt. He's had several fights at the UFC level that were scheduled for 5 rounds. He's got, 4 fights that have been scheduled for 5 rounds, 5-round main events at the UFC level. So Marlon Vera, I believe, has a power advantage. He's got a huge strength to schedule and UFC experience advantage. He's got a durability advantage. And look at who he's been out there in his last 5 fights again. Corey Sandhagen, Pedro Munoz, Sean O'Malley, former champion, Davison Figueiredo, former champion. Ayman Zahabi's on like a 7-fight win streak, and he arguably won that fight. Split decision against Corey Sandhagen, pretty bad split decision, but the 4th and 5th rounds of that fight were very, very close. So I think, we always could talk about potentially Marlon Vera. If he ticks up the aggression here, he's going to look a lot better than plus 260. So Martinez's money line is minus 310. His decision prop is sitting in the neighborhood of minus 200. And I don't think that this is a guy that's going to run away with this fight, right? And this is a potential where if Martinez's money line keeps going and it gets to minus 350, minus 400, and it plays out close, I don't care if it's in Mexico. Vegas is going to need Vera, and Vera's been robbed on a couple of close decisions a couple of different times. So I feel like Vera is somebody that is definitely the value side here. You don't ever get Marlon Vera at plus 260. And David Martinez was plus 100 in his last fight against Rob Font. He won that 29-28, but he clearly lost one of those rounds there. So it's not like Marlon Vera can't catch this guy and win a round with a moment. And it's not like the other 2 rounds won't be close at distance striking range because these guys are well matched. So I would say that the money line side, without question, here is Marlon Vera plus 260. That's a really rich number to get that good of a fighter at. And Marlon is still only 33 years old. It's not like he's 39 showing up for one more check and then going to ride off into the sunset. This guy is still a viable fighter in one of the deepest divisions in the UFC. So I think that the Vera side is definitely the money line side here, but the pick is going to be David Martinez to win a close decision. Which brings us to the main event of the evening. Hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe, leave me a comment down below, and consider hitting that link in the description of the video for 50% off your first month's membership to the Probability Stats and Content package. And we've got Brandon Moreno going up against Lonnie Kavanagh. We got Moreno minus 210, Kavanagh plus 180. Fight doesn't go to decision here. Sitting around to pick him at minus 110. I'm going with Brandon. I'm going with Brandon by decision, but I think he can finish this fight too. The question is, what we don't know is how is Lonnie Kavanagh going to handle 5 rounds, because he's never been scheduled for 5 rounds at the UFC level. Let me see if he's ever been scheduled for 5 rounds. Never. So he's taken this fight on 3 weeks' notice. This was supposed to be Asu Almabayev fighting Brandon Moreno. Kavanagh steps in on about 3 weeks' notice, coming off of a brutal KO loss against Charles Johnson. He has to make the long trip from the UK all the way to Mexico to fight a Mexican dude for 5 rounds on a limited training camp at 7,000 feet elevation. And it's a sizable step up in competition, going from a 500 fighter in Charles Johnson to the former champion of the division in Brandon Moreno. And you got to do it so far from home in Mexico. So there's a lot of things going on here. You know, you got a guy like Moreno who's had 10 fights just at the UFC level that have been scheduled for 5 rounds, 1 fight outside of it. He's fought, you know, Pantoja 3 times. He's fought Figueiredo 4 times. You know, this guy has fought the cream of the crop of the division. But once they close the door behind these 2 guys, it's going to be Lonnie Kavanagh, who's the younger, hungrier fighter on a little bit better of a career trajectory here. He's got probably a little more momentum, even though he's coming off of a loss. Prior to that, he was a very hyped prospect on a long winning streak, and he got caught. He got caught in a fight that he was winning pretty convincingly up to that point. So if this just plays out at distance striking range for 25 minutes, I think it's going to play out pretty close. But Kavanagh is slowed down in later on in fights, in 3-round fights. Now he's taking this fight on short notice at elevation against a guy who's got a ton of 5-round experience. A lot of guys been pointing out this week, and rightfully so, that Lonnie doesn't like getting hit to the body, man. He seems to be a little bit weak to the body. It was the Charles Johnson body shot that set up the failed takedown attempt from Kavanagh that wound up setting up the knockout while he was backing up with his hands down. And then you saw Jose Ochoa actually put him in a little bit of trouble by going to the body a few different times. And that was when we saw Kavanagh start to panic a little bit and start to show a little bit of weakness. So Brandon Moreno rips to the body all the time. He's got phenomenal boxing. And also those body shots are going to pay dividends in a 5-round fight at elevation for a guy who's never been past the 3rd round in his career. So all of those things matter to me, as well as Brandon Moreno having the toughest strength to schedule in the entire division. You know, him having, you know, really good boxing and phenomenal grappling as well. So I got to go with Brandon Moreno. I think his KO prop is one of the most underpriced props on the card here at only 75 for a guy in Kavanagh who's coming off a knockout loss, for a guy in Kavanagh who might not have the necessary conditioning to go with the full 25 minutes, who doesn't like getting hit to the body. That Moreno KO by plus 475 is a very generous number in my opinion. My model has it down as a trifecta bet, and I agree that it's a pretty good play. So there we go, you guys. We did the full card breakdown. Let me give you guys my dog pick of the week. We'll give you guys Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week, and then I'll talk to you guys here in the chat and answer any questions that you might have. If you want to call me a loser for betting on Jose Medina, I will just hang my head and say you are correct, sir. So tee up any questions you might have for me right now in the chat. But let's go with these last two orders of business before we get to our Greasy four-leg parlay. The first is going to be the Bootsy Collins Memorial Dogs Are Barking pick of the week. Who is going to win as an underdog this week? And my choice this week is going to be Macy Chiasson at plus 155 is where I bet her. You can still get her money line, I think, at plus 150. I think Aylin Perez's wrestling is very good. I think her top control is solid. But I think Macy's going to be winning the minutes and moments at distance striking range due to the fact that she's 6 inches taller, has a 6-inch reach advantage. I think she's going to be more physical and able to do more damage while this fight is in the dirty boxing territories. And even there, while it's in the clinch, I think Chiasson will be just as likely to get takedowns from the clinch as Perez is due to how big and strong and physical Macy is. While Aylin tends to be a little bit lower to the ground, lower center of gravity, a little more heft, especially in that lower half. But that's something that Macy can potentially get those trips using that height to kind of like wear on Aylin Perez in the clinch there. And when Macy gets into top position, she's nasty there, you guys. I think she's a lot more dangerous from top position than Aylin Perez is. So your dog pick of the week is going to be the Macy Chiasson money line at plus 150. Who's going to win and win violently? Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week. We've got a lot of good choices this week because there's a lot of people that have money lines that are absolutely juiced to the tits. So a lot of these people are going to win and win violently. I think that Moreno could find a finish. This one probably goes to decision at a high clip. Not that fight. Chairez could be an ass shaving of the week pick. Imanol Rodriguez could be an ass shaving of the week pick. Santiago Luna, Ryan Gandra, Christian Quinonez. But all these guys, the problem with all that is all those fighters are at least like minus 500. Francis Marshall, minus 700, right? Christian Quinonez, minus 700. Ryan Gandra, minus 725. Santiago Luna, minus 625. And then there's Rodriguez and Chairez. Chairez is around minus 350. Rodriguez is minus 450-ish. So I'm choosing between those two guys. But because I think Felipe Bunes actually has early finish upside here with the submission due to the poor takedown defense of Edgar Chairez, I'm going to go with Imanol Rodriguez as this week's Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week. I like Rodriguez to win and win violently with the unusual power that he has for a UFC flyweight. This guy looks to be the real deal. I think he's going to be able to win moments at a furious pace in the flyweight division. And working with a guy like DC is going to help him be able to find ways to win minutes with his wrestling and top control as well. So I'm looking for this kid Rodriguez to be a blue chip prospect, potentially in the flyweight division, and find a finish over El Gallo Negro, Kevin Borhas, on Saturday. All right, you guys, we did it. We broke down 13 fights. I got a dog pick of the week for you. I got Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week for you. So now let me share my screen and let's find a Greasy four-leg parlay here. Hang on just a sec. Get that out. And I didn't realize that I still had everything up there. All right. Now, leg one of this four-leg parlay this week. So we're going to start off with the over 2.5 rounds in the Douglas Silva de Andrade Javier Reyes fight. I don't see Andrade being much of a finishing threat at the age of 40, up a weight class on almost a 2-year layoff at 145 pounds. So I don't think he's going to finish Javier Reyes, and I don't really think that Reyes is going to be finishing Andrade because Reyes is somebody that I don't think has UFC level power, and that Andrade has shown to be extremely durable against much harder hitters like guys like Peter Yan, like Laron Murphy. He's been in there against some really tough levels of competition. So I like the overs in this fight. I like Javier Reyes to win this fight by decision. And leg number 1 of this parlay is going to be Javier Reyes, Douglas Silva de Andrade, over 2.5 rounds at -120. Leg number 2 of this parlay is going to be your Bootsy Collins Memorial Dogs Are Barking pick of the week, because we want to fatten up this line. We want to fatten up this parlay. And since Macy Chiasson is kind of long and neuro, we want to fatten this thing up like Aylin Perez's arse, right? So in order to do that, we got to get a plus money leg in here. And that is going to be the Macy Chiasson money line at +150. I think that this line is just mispriced, from my analysis, when I wrote my fight write-up, when I saw the paths to victory for both fighters and I watched the tape, I really like Macy to win this fight. I think this was an easy click to make this week, and I think she's going to win. So +150 is going to bring this 2-leg parlay now up to +358. And we still got 2 legs to go. So leg number 3 is going to be the money line of Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week. Even though I like him and all Rodriguez to win inside the distance quite a bit, we're just going to give him a chance to win. And that'll be at -450, since we've already got +358 for 3 legs here. That's going to bring this 3-leg parlay up to +460. But then I says to myself, do we want to win like a 7-1, a 6-1? Or do we want to go for glory? Because I'm picking Chiasson to win. So I'm fine having her I think that her plus money line brings a bunch of value to this parlay. But let's bring some more value, man. Because I see early finish upside potential for Felipe Bunes. But what I also see is that Edgar Chairez is one of the most dangerous flyweights in the division. And he's fighting at home in Mexico. And I think that he's going to be looking for a finish, an early knockout. He's got really opportunistic submission game in his own right. And Felipe Bunes, he gets tired fast. And that's at sea level that he gets tired fast. So now they're up at 7,000 feet. I could see Edgar Chairez finding an early finish, and I could see Felipe Bunes finding an early finish. I can't believe that the under 1.5 rounds is +174. What a value. What a bet. And if this 4-leg parlay comes in, we cash at +1435 on Bet Online Sportsbook. I'm down for glory this week, you guys. I am looking to hit and hit big. I've got a lot of plus money spots, and I've done the deep research. I've put together some brilliant fight write-ups. I've done a 2-hour full card breakdown show for the Odd Shopper subscribers. I did a 2-hour prop betting show. I've got at least 8 units in tracked bets already so far, and I might add a couple more tomorrow, but I am really feeling good about this 4-leg parlay, and I think that these 2 plus money legs are way underpriced. So +1435, 14-1. Let's cash this thing. Let's cash a greasy ass 4-legger. That'll help us really enjoy the following week after we get this one out of the way. What's up with you guys? How's everybody doing in the chat today? Let's see. We got 79 comments to go through here. Let me get it to you guys here. We got Daniels. We got Forrest Daniels in the room saying it couldn't be more easy. I went from a 0 to a G listening to Uncle Weezy weekly. Hashtag from the bottom to the top. Truly appreciate you, Forrest. It's good to see you in here. We got my guy Dixon in the room saying, have you ever tried bull's testicles? The answer is no. Evidently, they're called Rocky Mountain oysters, and it's a delicacy in places like Montana. But I actually drew it once in El Salvador. I've had sweetbreads before, which sometimes are glands and sometimes are testicles. And sometimes my Aunt Maria makes them, who's one of the greatest cooks I've ever had the privilege of eating her food. And she made sweetbreads once, and they were fucking delicious. So I don't doubt that they're not bad. I've just never tried them before. It's kind of like eating chicken livers or gizzards. It's got that type of texture and taste from what I remember. So it's not bad once you get past the idea of putting, balls in your mouth. Yeah, I hear you, man. And last but not least, can we please briefly pull up the picture of the real JDM tattooed on your arm? Let me see if I can find that for you guys. It is in my notifications. And let's see. There it is. Okay. And that is the ass shaving of the week there. It is Jose Daniel Medina, Parlay Moutinho Weezy, Desde Bolivia, the ass shaving of the week. And I got the real JDM on my arm, Jose Daniel Medina. We made this, or I didn't make this graphic. My guy Dixon did, just because I put the 1 unit bet on Jose Medina to win over Ryan Gandra on Saturday. So yeah, that he made that nice little graphic for us there. The ass shaving of the week, the real JDM tattoo. Awesome stuff, man. Thank you for doing that. I hope everybody enjoyed looking at that amazing, amazing graphic. All right, we got the high owl in the room saying, "Oi!" And he's saying, "Would be crazy to be in Mexico to see the card." Yeah, right now shit's kind of hitting the fan in Mexico, so maybe I'll be watching it, from a safe distance here in Chicago, Illinois. JWB is in the room saying this should be an easy card to predict. The home team has some easy opponents, no doubt about it. I wonder if any of these big favorites are going to wind up shitting the bed, and which ones potentially if they do. The underdog picks, Wes Schultz, Vera, and Green. So I've got a bet on Vera's money line. I've got a bet on the Green plus 3.5 points handicap, and I got a bet on Wes Schultz to win by submission, JWB. So ring a ding ding. I get a $5 donation. My guy JWB and I, we are on the same side on all three of those underdog looks. I'm backing each one of them with my money in different ways. So hopefully we're both right, JWB, and we cash those tickets this week. The late predictions work for me. It must be exhausting to do them this late, though. Well, the reason I do them this late is because I like to give my predictions out earlier in the week to my Odds Shopper subscribers. I do my full card breakdown usually on Tuesday nights, but sometimes on Wednesday afternoons. I used to do my prediction show on Friday because I wanted people to join the Odds Shopper, and I'm going to put that banner there so people can see that. I want people to join the Odds Shopper and support my work, because it's not just supporting my work that helps me out, so that I can do this full time, but it's helping you guys out by giving you access to some really phenomenal information that if you're the type of person that likes to, do research and make your own picks, my stats package and my fight write-ups are going to help you get access to the best information. So really, the reason I started giving out my picks so late in the week is because I'm not really worried about YouTube views. I don't care about those. I don't get paid barely at all for them. What I want is people to sign up on the Patreon, or on the Odds Shopper. And because of that, I put them out later in the week. So hopefully people will want to get that full card breakdown show, which I do early in the week, and the prop show, which I do on Thursday afternoon. That's the reason for me doing it that way, JWB. We got my guy Carlos is in the room saying, "Let's go." What's up, Carlos? My guy D Money saying, "I didn't know Uncle Weezy and Jose Medina are best friends." That's crazy. Well, let's hope Jose gets the job done this week, because I'd win 4 units if he did. I'm not counting on it. I think it's going to be funny if he does, though. Gandra minus 725. Not in our country, man. Not in our country. I took a stand, and they still ran it up my ass. Like I bought him at plus 400, and then it was plus 525 like about 3 hours later. So still in our country, it's happening. But I chose to take a stand because that's what heroes do, Blank Zone. And I know that you're with me on that. My guy Olajuwon is in the room saying, "Oi, yes." We got Keith in the room saying, "At work, 3 more hours. This show is going to help me get through it." Blue-Eyed Samurai is in the room saying, "If Medina's going to win a fight in the UFC, it's this one." Yeah, because if he doesn't win this one, he's definitely cut after going 0-4. But it would be this one, man. I really do think that this is a winnable fight if he can weather the early storm, because Gandra hits hard, but Gandra, swings for the fences, and I don't think that his cardio is going to hold up for 15 minutes, especially not at elevation. My guy Boy Blue is in the room saying, "We live." Hell yeah, man. And we got, I tapped it saying, "Let's go." What's up, dude? We got Daz in the room saying, "Oi, cha-ching. These odds are AIDS." Yes, they are. We got to be really tricky, and we got to find our spots this week. Let's see if we can find some of these things to work out for us. Rouses in the room saying, oh, yes, Medina by mother's milk submission. That would be a huge hit for me. To win a plus 400 by mother's milk, it would make me the greatest MMA capper of all time. No arguments. So let's hope for that, Rouses. Frank in the room saying, last week I smacked bid on Levitt, Strickland, and Medic. Nice work, dude. Yeah, I thought that Levitt was the play at the money line side. I didn't have any action on Del Valle, but I thought Hernandez would destroy Strickland, but he must have been hurt because he didn't wrestle. And then Medic, congratulations, big knockout over a stud opponent in Jeff Neal. We got Daz saying smash the like. We got MMA Tard saying what's crapping in Unk. Big Tard in the house. What's up, dude? Good to see you hanging out, man. Wes Schultz pick number 1. Let's go, man. I like Wes. Party time. I like Moutinho and Bobby Green this week. And Frank saying Sam. There you go. Or same. Canna Chef saying, oi, Weezy. Shout out from Windsor. Chemdog for life. Chemdog, great strain, man. That's an old school strain. Good sativa. Frank Turnip saying Moutinho, Schultz are the only dogs worth playing to me. To be should be an easy chalk card. Yeah, I agree, man. I wouldn't play Moutinho with your money though, but I did play Medina, but as a joke. So there's a lot of these fights that are one-sided. We'll see if any of the big dogs can come through. I'm gonna bet the house on Medina the Savage, says my guy. I tapped it. Weezy for president, says my guy JMO. Make it happen, you bums. Write them in. Yeah, dude, 2028. Let's get it, man. Weezy for president. I have a feeling this event is going to be greasy, and I tend to agree with you, Beat Fanatic. The fact Pinas is a blue belt is rough. Yeah, and might even be a generous blue belt. So we'll see, man. If Wes gets him down, I think Wes is going to have a shot at submitting him. Uncle Weezy, give the people your purse. My purse? Purse? We got I don't want to get hit by a Pinas. West sub is plus 460. I played a plus 450. It's a great look in my opinion. I know I am. I know it's because we made them all on stat diggers. So I tried not to the best. Uncle Weezy, give the people your personal 6-fight White House card. Your main, co-main, and the other 4 with some meat on the bone. Yeah, it would be Makhachev versus Topuria. It would be I would love to see Yuri on it somehow, but I think they're trying to get him on a Miami card. Gaethje, maybe Gaethje versus Topuria. As long as Topuria is on it, I think that's the most important thing. Makhachev, and yeah, if Topuria fights at 155 and Makhachev fights at 170, I think that would be good main event type fights. I'd like to see Kayla Harrison versus Amanda Nunes. It's 2 of the greatest of all time squaring off. I think that'd be a great one. I think Conor versus Nate Diaz would be really fun to see. They're both old and definitely past it, but I think that's a good rivalry. You can't give fucking Conor anybody with a pulse at this point. He's done far too much cocaine. So that's probably what I'd do there. I think Derek Lewis is going to be on it, but it's going to be interesting. Blue Eyes Sam said the White House card is going to shit fast. Yeah, you're going to try to make it as good as you can, but it doesn't mean that everybody's going to be ready at the same time. Weezy wasn't medically clear because he got banned for PED for 6 months. He might be worth a second look. Douglas Silva de Andrade? I didn't hear that he got banned for PEDs. He's been banned for PEDs before, I think, but I don't think it was because of the Castaneda fight, was it? Because that was like 1 day before the fight. You don't test positive for drugs usually the week of, usually after the fight. But maybe you're right. I don't know. I didn't hear that, Carlos. Thank God I caught you right. Losing my mind at work right now. Yeah, dude, just pay attention to this show. Forget work. If an older version of Douglas that lost to Miles John comes in, yeah, I know. Yeah, that's the thing, right? If that happens, then maybe even Javier Reyes finds a finish here. But I still like the over 2.5 for that one. Steve saying, They haven't announced the fights yet. Yeah, well, I mean, you're saying nobody wants to fight at the White House. They're going to have to use McGregor and Covington and washed up dudes to sell it. That could be bad if they do that. Please not Colby Covington at the White House. That would not be good. That would not be good. Colby's way past it. B-Neg saying Moutinho can take a punch, though. Be careful with that KO1 prop. No, he can't, B-Negs. He's been knocked out in the first round by a 40-year-old Guido Canetti. He got knocked out in the first round by Johnny Cupcakes Campbell. Look it up. It happened. All right. This guy is, and he got knocked out obviously brutally in his last fight by Malcolm Wellmaker. So he's been finished in 7 of 7 losses, and 5 of those 7 losses, B-Negs, are by knockout. Sean O'Malley doesn't have like crazy power, you know. He just kind of like tap, touched him. But you know, it took him. That's why it took him 3 rounds. But somebody like Quinonez does have some decent power, and he could even get a submission too. Let's see. Beat Fanatic saying Aylin chokes Chiasson out, then twerks on her unconscious body. Then we move on to the battle of the butts with Norma Dumont. You know, that would be something. Norma against Aylin. That would be pretty good, man. I think that would be, they'd be able to sell that fight. Solar Cowboy likes it. I like it a lot too. I never saw Brady smell that t-shirt. Yeah, man, that was, he's smelled it before. He said it just smells absolutely awful. Like right when he opened that box, you could smell it and it was just terrible. There was no Ming Monday Night Football. Gandra minus 700 is nonsense. That is for sure. We got the things Weezy will do for a few likes. Yeah, I know, man. A 1-unit bet on Jose Daniel Medina. I like watching all the fights, but this card isn't a very good one. Yeah, man. It's a lot of squash matches. It's a lot of, you know, juice to the tits money lines. So hopefully it winds up being exciting. You got Luna at minus 450. You beat a lot of line movement there. Weezy GOAT level, says my guy Haymaker. Appreciate you. Forrest Daniel saying, Uncle Weezy, how can you pick Gandra by decision when you got 1 unit on Medina? Go balls deep and go all in on Medina. If he doesn't get knocked out in the first round, his gas tank and toughness could win. Yeah, I know, but I'm not going all in. I don't have to. You know, like I just don't want to. I don't want to back that guy with a pick. I do think that Gandra can just like win the minutes and win the decision there. That I'm sticking with the Gandra by decision, but I do think that if this gets past the first round and Medina is still in good shape and ready to go, it could get very interesting. Imanol is an absolute bulldozer. Yes, he is. Based as fuck, says Carlos, for sure. Crazy how we got this bum Bunes and Pinas on the same card. Bumus and Pinas. That is pretty funny. Yeah, I've got a lot of finishes here, man, and my probability parlay is 3 violence props this week, so I think it's going to be a very interesting card. Queen Green money line, says my guy Frank Turner, plus 375. I like it. Fight goes to decision at minus 100 is fantastic to me. I think that's pretty good too. Green's too unreliable to bet on though. Looks enticing enough. Zellhuber has learned since it will be a head kick or a submission. Yeah, I mean, he better start fucking fighting with some urgency, man. Hopefully everyone's cardio holds up this weekend. Yeah, because when it doesn't, it gets sloppy and it's not fun to watch. Do I live bet at all? It's more valuable than pre-fight. Yeah, I mean, I like to mess around with it a little bit, but, you know, because I sell picks and have my package that I sell to people, you know, you got to have bets pre-flop. You can't just say, let's wait for fucking live betting, you know. But live betting is great. You know, you're going to find some really good opportunities there, some really good value. And if you watch enough fights, you'll be able to see when there's opportunities there. In my experience, I don't know. I put question mark. Green decision, pressure and more significant strikes. It definitely could be. Like I say, man, he lands a lot more than he absorbs, man. Zellhuber has no power on the feet, though, man. Understand that if you bet on him. I know. If Green shows up, yeah. Green looks like he's in good shape, too, on his Instagram. My guy Juan is saying, love your show. Appreciate you, Juan. If you love this show, check out the probability stats and content package, man. You'll get 4 hours of me every week that you don't see for free here on YouTube. with some really good, full card breakdowns and the prop show as well. Zellhuber sub would be nice. He's gotten it before, and he's got those long limbs that can lock up front chokes. Vera is going the distance. I agree. Frank Turnip saying Martinez money line in the parlays by KO plus 600 for the flyer. There we go. We got Haymaker saying love this play. Cash Vera. Yeah, I mean, like Vera's money line, I think is just way undervalued this week for sure. Hollow the Silver is saying I take a lot of takedown props. The one I bet heavy on this card is Rodriguez, Imanol Rodriguez over 0.5. Wow, plus 175 for a guy that's training with Daniel Cormier. I think that's a really good look, especially since Kevin Borhas is somebody that's never been known for a good ground game. So that's a great play, Hollow the Silver. I think I might tail you on that one. Beat Fanatic saying, I think it's more of a mental thing with Cheeto. If he tried a bit harder, he could have won all his close fights. I know, dude. I know. And then he also bet Moreno over 1.5 takedowns at plus 120. Not a high volume wrestler, but against Lonnie Kavanagh, that could be a good way to take the kid out of where he's most comfortable, and to make him grapple too could tire him out even quicker. Yeah, I could see that hitting as well. I think Moreno continues the trend of crafty veteran beating an up-and-comer, just like Gaethje, Volk, Batista, Strickland did. Yep. It's only Zoo saying DraftKings has individual round point spreads for Cheeto. All of them are plus money. Interesting. Yeah. I mean, that makes sense, though, with Martinez being minus 315 on the money line. That makes sense. Colby's saying, oi, let's go, Weezy. The whole MMA community is going to be thinking of you during that Medina fight. War JDM. Let's go, man. I'm rooting for Medina. I really do hope that he wins. But like I said, man, I wanted to come on the live stream today and temper everybody's expectations and let everybody know that obviously I wasn't looking to bet this dude. So hopefully it winds up working out, because it'll be hilarious. I like the Medina bet too. Maybe finally gets a W. Yeah, he's gonna have to survive the early storm though against Gandra, because Gandra is gonna be looking to get him out of there. We got Blank Zone MMA saying Chiasson is the only dog that I think has more than a 50 chance of winning, but geez, I had to go to bed last week knowing I lost money on Phil Rowe. And that was a kind of a close fight, dude. It was a close fight. Like, it wasn't like he decisively lost the minutes there. I think Phil Rowe wasn't a bad bet, dude. I really don't. I thought that was a close fight. So, yeah, I know you don't want to lose money on Bieber. I didn't think I would get to her this week. I really thought that I would like Aileen Perez's money line, but after doing the research, I was like, well, no, man, you got to bet Chase on here. That's the right play. She is too inconsistent, but when you get her at dog odds, that's when you want to get her, right? She's cashed a couple of times as a dog. So I think that this is the spot for her. I think this is the right time to get it on there. She's looked much worse since leaving her camp. Yeah, but she was at Fortis. I don't think Fortis is. I'm not impressed with that camp either. So I mean, like you got guys with all kinds of talent there. Guys like Ryan Spann, who never wound up turning out to be shit. Kennedy and Zetchko, who never wound up to be shit. Those are some of the most gifted athletes in those upper weight classes, and Saif Sayud hasn't been able to do shit with those guys. So yeah, I think maybe even getting out of there might be the best thing for her. Remember, she fought Yana Santos and lost minutes in the clinch to Santos, which everybody loses in the clinch to Santos. And she got taken down. Actually, she got reversed by Ketlin Vieira a couple of different times. And Ketlin Vieira's got phenomenal top pressure and control from top position. But Macy gave her a run for her money while that fight was on the feet. Carlos saying, Weezy, Andrade was banned for PEDs for 6 months. It might be worth a relook if he's juiced. Well, that dude's clearly been juiced for his entire career. It just means he probably got caught this time. But maybe that's what happened. I didn't hear that, Carlos. So thanks for the heads up, man. Let's see. We got Sian McNamara. McNamara. That's a nice Irish name, though, dude. Sian. I know I'm fucking pronouncing that wrong, so my apologies for the mispronunciation. But Jose Medina money line for Sian, Gandra loses gasses too easily, and his striking is pretty poor. I couldn't agree more, man. But I don't know. I mean, like, I'm on the Medina money line. I'm just not. I don't have my hopes up. Andrade is going to KO him. He's 20-1 to the knockout. I mean, Douglas Silva de Andrade can get knockouts, but I don't know, man. I don't. At 40 years old, dude. I don't know. Reyes lifts his feet, and he does leave his chin up. He definitely puts his chin up there. So I could see Douglas Silva de Andrade potentially getting a KO, man. It could happen. One of the bets that I gave out on probability earlier today was the Douglas Silva de Andrade finish only prop at plus 225. I like that. Justin J is in the room saying, "Oi, Weezy, I'm into hi-fi stereo. What's your setup?" Well, I've got a QSC amplifier here. I've got a Vestax mixer. I've got two Techniques 1200 turntables, and with the speakers I have in here are shit. My girlfriend has M audio speakers that are really good, really loud, and they're only about that big. They're only about that big, but they're loud as fuck. So whenever I would DJ, I would bring the M audio speakers in here. And these amps are huge. Like, I've got a Crown amp right behind me here, the CE1000. That's almost as good as the QSC that I got over here. But this is more of a DJ setup than a hi-fi setup. In the other room, we've got another one of our Techniques turntables just running through a mixing board and into the M audio speakers. So I'd love to invest more money into the hi-fi setup, but I've got to get a lot more subscribers on the probability stats and content package, which is linked in the description of this video. Still 7 slots left on that code that I made like 2 months ago. So I'd love to get some more support from you guys. Please consider supporting the work and supporting your information needs when it comes to betting on these UFC fights. Nathan Robinson planning 2 units on Cheeto finish only at around minus 125. I like that. I also like Cheeto Vera plus 3.5 points handicap at minus 130. I think that's a pretty good look as well this week. We got James Krause in the room saying Brandon is a no-brainer this week. Same odds when he fought Kai Kara France and way more paths to victory. I agree with the James Krause here. And James, I think he knows. I think he was training Brandon Moreno for a minute, if I'm not mistaken. He might have been there at Glory MMA just before that gym broke up. If I'm not mistaken, but Brandon's the veteran, and I think all of those narrative issues about this being Kavanagh's first 5-round fight at 7,000 elevation in Mexico, having to make the long trip on short notice, all those things are really flying in his face this week. Medina round 3 is something like 7,250. It's plus 4,000 on Bet Rivers, and I actually gave that bet out on probability this week. Keith Offenlock is in the room saying the disrespect from the odd makers, putting Cheeto that big of a dog. I'd slap a pretty penny on the money line. I already did, man. I've got 1 unit on his money line at plus 265. At that number, it's a very easy click to make. Medina round 3 point spread plus 450. So that just means if the fight goes to round 3, what's the point spread? Is it like plus 0.05? Is it just even? What is that? Or does he have to actually like win the round 10-9 on all 3 cards to cover that point spread? I like it, says Frank. Someone send that to Medina. I hope they do, man. We got the James Krause saying Kavanagh basically has 2 rounds to land a nuke. Yeah, and do it against one of the most durable guys in the history of the division in Brandon Moreno. We got Michael Panza in the room saying, what's good, Weezy? Do you think Chiasson's going to make weight? It's always tough for her to make weight. She's 5'11". So in the bantamweight division, that is a very tough nut to crack to be, and women's weight will fluctuate with their menstrual cycles too. So, it's always tricky for somebody like Macy to make that 136-pound limit. And Aileen Perez already went on record saying that she's not going to take the fight if Macy doesn't make weight. So I think Chiasson's gotta try to make weight. We'll see what happens. My guy Truth Hurts is in the room saying, great breakdowns, Unc. I like the Vera look this week, but this is a trap card. Be weary. Yeah, I am, man. I'm taking some lower volume plus money shots here. Hopefully some of them work out. Aylin said Chiasson misses weight. The fight isn't happening. Yup. Nathan Robinson saying, Weezy, I respect you, but bets on Medina, King Green, and Chito Vera in the year 2026. Have you been spending too much time with Conor McGregor? Yeah, the Medina bet, I didn't give it out on, obviously, on Odd Shopper. You know, that was a joke thing that I said I'd do for the likes. But King Green plus 3.5 points handicap at plus 225. Fucking, I stand by that bet. If you're counting on a finish from Daniel Zellhuber, what the question I would ask you is, what have you seen on tape to suggest that he's going to finish anybody? And then also, his ability to win minutes at distance striking range has been severely lacking. People said the same shit when I bet a quarter unit on Michael Johnson to win by decision at plus 800 in his last fight against who? Daniel Zellhuber. What happened there? That hit. So Green might get knocked out. And I know that that's a possibility. But we're betting the numbers here, Nathan. Plus 225 for Green to survive 3 rounds and win 1 round on the scorecards against a historically poor minute winner with no grappling upside in Daniel Zellhuber. That's a good number. Chito Vera at plus 260. This guy was plus 210 against fucking Sean O'Malley. You know, now he's fucking plus 265 against David Martinez, who lost a round to Rob Font. You know, who Marlon Vera finished Rob Font like 4 different times when they fought. So I get it. You know, the Medina bet's horseshit. No argument there, Nathan. But 225 on King Green, 265 on Chito Vera. Talk to me after these fights end. I think one of those bets is going to cash and be a nice little plus EV play. Sadly, that prop was bet down into the 150 range. Got it. Imanol reminds me of Peyton Talbot, but I'm not sure if it's just the hair. Yeah, man, he's got power, fucking crazy power. Georgie Boy is in the room saying, what's up, Weezy? Good to see Georgie hanging out in here. We got Adolfo Martinez saying, love the show, Uncle Weezy. A must listen every week. I appreciate you being here, man. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for the kind words. Hollow the Silver saying Marlon Vera, round 3, plus 1.5 point spread on DK is plus 130, plus 500 at minus 1.5. That's interesting. So, to cover that 1.5, though, you've got to get a 30-27 because 29-28, 29-28, you got to win all 3 judges' scorecards because if you only win 2 of them, you only win by 1 point. So, especially unless it's a 10-8 round, of course. But we got Medina versus Gandra, the people's main event. You got it, man. Carlos saying, wow, that Rodriguez over 0.5 takedowns seems really good. Yeah, good call. Yeah, dude, for sure. We got Jay's in the room saying, what's good, Uncle Weezy? Good to see you hanging out in there. Sweet picture of Teresian Gore with the 2 UFC belts on him, a future 2-division champion there in Teresian Gore. Martinez decision, Marshall by knockout or submission, so Marshall inside the distance, and the Brandon Moreno money line is the parlay that AJ's got. And I'm picking Brandon Moreno to win. I'm picking Martinez to win by decision as the official pick, and then Marshall to win by knockout is the pick. So I agree with all 3 of those. I hope you hit it. Baby Shaker saying Chiasson is paying plus 300 for a decision. Yes. But I prefer to play the plus 150 because Macy is a finisher, and we've seen Aileen Perez get finished in her only UFC loss. So I feel like there is finish upside for Macy Chiasson, and I like her finish only prop at around a pick'em. Do I do any scratching or just play the records? No, I don't do scratching because I'm a house DJ. Even when I play hip hop and I mix hip hop records, I don't really scratch as much as scratch to the downbeat to match beats for the records. So I don't have any electronic equipment that automatically matches beats. So I do it the old-fashioned way, like DJs used to do back in the 90s when I would go to the clubs, and you're just using the pitch control manually, and you're scratching to the downbeat and starting the first beat of one record when you hear the first beat of the other record that's playing going. Then you tune in the records so that they're the exact same speed, and then you create a mix between the two records, but you're not actually scratching. So I don't really do that, Beat Fanatic. AJ is saying that can't be the real James Krause. Yeah, I'm sure it's not the real James Krause, but even if it was, man, I think he can probably gamble now unless he's still under federal investigation, but he's not involved with the sport now, so that dude could probably gamble, and why wouldn't he? Beat Fanatic saying, keep an eye on the body kicks. Yeah, the body kicks and the body punches for sure, man. Howell the Silver saying, Daniel Zellhuber under 71.5 significant strikes. That's not bad. Because that's a number that doesn't get covered a whole lot. 71.5 is a lot of significant strikes to cover, or because you usually need to go the full 15 minutes to cover that number. Martinez is quick. He's going to make good work of Cheeto. Yeah, he could, man. But I mean, like even Rob Font won a round off of him, So I think that Vera at plus 265, not the worst thing. The Regina Taran money line is a generational lock. I'll have to take your word for it, UFC Garrison, because I didn't get to research her. Cheeto's a punching bag, but it will go to decision. UFC Garrison saying that line is seeing serious resistance from sharp action. The narrative is the Mexicans let us down last event, likely why they're all lined at minus 400 plus. Follow the script. We got Baby Shaker saying Rodriguez by sub plays well. Yeah, he does have a decent wrestling game, and he had Joseph Morales' back when they fought in the Tough House, and Morales is a hell of a fighter. Deep Insider, my guy Barry McCockiner saying Borhas is my dog pick. At least it's not a passing of the torch type situation. I could see Pacheco pulling off an upset as well. Yeah, I mean, like these guys aren't nearly as good as their opponents, but like their opponents are very inexperienced fighters. So this is MMA. You can do any. I mean, it's a wild fight, and there's a wild sport, and there's a lot of variance. Yeah, I know. Michael Johnson cooked fucking Zellhuber, so I don't mind taking green here. So parlay for Hollow the Silver is going to be Daniel Zellhuber under 71.5 significant strikes, Marlon Vera round 3 plus 1.5 spread, and the Ryan Gandra round 1 minus 1.5 spread, minus 245 is for the third leg. It comes out to plus 505 for that 3-leg parlay. I like it, dude. Bobby at plus 375 is on tap for me. We got Nathan saying the bets aren't bad. Don't get me wrong. Just the fighters you betting. It does, dude. It does take bravery. Yeah, I know, man. I know. You're right. Medina in particular, Nathan. Medina in particular. Are you Brady's uncle? I never thought to ask. I'm everybody's uncle, you guys. I'm your uncle. I'm Howell the Silver's uncle. I'm AJ's uncle. I'm Nathan Robinson's uncle. I'm all of your uncle. I belong to the community, and I am your family. I am your Uncle Weezy. We got Nathan saying, I have Lonnie Kavanagh, end-of-year champion future at plus 25,000. Need a round 1 KO highlight reel head kick this weekend, and then you are going to be on your way to potentially cashing that, Nathan. I like it, dude. The Moreno money line may take some of my money, though. Kavanagh short notice, and I've seen him fade. Moreno can grapple and is durable, so I think it'll go late where the concern is for Kavanagh, and I agree 100% with that analysis there, Nathan. We got ETE, my trade, saying, I bet the all-Mexican parlay noche. I'm flying to CDMX tomorrow with 7 units on the all-Mexican parlay. So that would be, let me get my, oh, there it is. So let's X that out. So Mexicans, none in that fight. None in that fight. Christian Quinonez, none in this fight. None in this fight. None in this fight. Brandon Moreno, David Martinez, Daniel Zellhuber, Edgar Chairez, Imanol Rodriguez, Santiago Border Boy Luna, and Regina Taran. That 7-leg parlay comes up to plus 387. Plus 387 for all the Mexicans winning, including Regina Taran. I like it. Nate Robinson saying, would you take Tyra end of year future champ at plus 500, considering he has the title shot and is favored over Van right now? Yeah, I would. I would. Because even if he beats Van, and when would that fight be? There's not even 100% guarantee that he fights again before the end of the year, because it might be Manel Kopp, and then Kopp just pulls out, of course. So, yeah, man, that's I think plus 500 is a good look, dude. He could win. Beat Fanatic saying must be some wild odds for that all Mexican parlay. Yeah, man, it's plus 387. But do me a favor, you guys. If you like all these stats that you see here, you know, if you like the betting models for prop bets, the betting models for over-under bets, the matchup stats, the individual fighter stats, the fight write-ups, including, you know, strength of schedule rankings, return on investment stats, you know, reasons to bet on and against each fighter, an entire paragraph of analysis from me, access to my Discord, access to all my track bets, access to all the content that you don't see for free here on YouTube. Check out the link in the description of this video for 50% off your first month's membership to the Probability Stats and Content Package. It would be much appreciated if you guys showed me a little love by signing up to the product. That helps make sure that I get to come here for free on YouTube and give you guys these great full card breakdowns every week. So 200 of you live right now watching between Rumble, Twitter, and YouTube. I'd appreciate it if you would hit the thumbs up on your way out. I'd appreciate it if you'd hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. I'd appreciate it if you left me a comment here in the video. And I'm looking to stack cash tickets like flapjacks for UFC Mexico City. We got Beat Fanatic saying good luck with the bets, everyone. We got Nathan saying the market is expecting Pantoja to fight before the end of the year. He's the favorite to be the champ by 2027. Yeah, we'll see how he comes back. And Fight Talk Only, my guy, saying, what's up, T.O. Weezy? Good to see you hanging out in here, brother. I hope all is well. Yeah, guys, I'm going to head out. Thank you guys for watching. Let's stack cash tickets like flapjacks for UFC Mexico City. God bless each and every one of you. If you want to support the work, hit the link in the description of the video and sign up for 50% off your first months of the Probability of Stats and Content Package for $12.50. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you guys next week for UFC 326, headlined by Max Blessed Holloway going up against Charles Du Bronx Oliveira for the BMF belt. It's going to be an absolute barn burner. Can't wait for that one. So have a great rest of your night, everybody. Take care.